Morning, guys. Jen here. Hope everybody's doing well. So Sunday and Monday, we usually do, or we're started doing, Word of the Week, because it's important to understand one of the biggest ways we're being deceived is through words and the changing of their meanings and definitions. Another way that we are being deceived is through deception itself. The devil is a liar. Remember that. He lies. We are lied to mainly to keep us down, to keep our vibration down, to keep our frequency down, to keep our spirits down and attached to this mortal coil. We are also told that a lot of things are quote-unquote bad for us or evil for us, to keep us out of the know, to keep us confused, to give these other ones some fun and games and something to do, because I would imagine they get bored. So let's look at a word real quick, and I've gone over this before, the difference between reincarnation and resurrection. Resurrection was around before the word reincarnation was around, according to the etymology tool and according to etymology itself, if you look into the meanings of the words. Reincarnation, a fact of repeated incarnation, a state of being embodied anew, meaning a new embodiment. Reforming element, meaning back form, back to the original place, again anew once more. Embodiment of God in the person of Christ is incarnation, or the incarnation, being born into the flesh again. Now here in the Latin, they're relating it directly to Christ himself, okay? The embodiment in a new form, especially the reappearance of a person in another form, a second or new birth, the Hindu or Buddhist, okay? Rebirth or renaissance, the Hindu or Buddhist doctrine that a person may be reborn successfully into one of 5 classes of living beings: God or human or animal or hungry ghost or denizen of hell, depending on the person's own actions. Okay, so this is going to be weird, as my videos usually are. Life has been very strange for me the past 5 years, but I'll tell you now, things are becoming very clear to me, and I'm seeing so many things, and I'm witnessing so many things, and I'm understanding now the gaslighting, and it is real, and it is massive, and it is everywhere once you recognize it. And I can't even begin to describe to you how much we have been deceived, and it makes me laugh at this point because I can't do anything else about it. Like, it's just astronomical, and it's unbelievable to me. But we are lied to keep us, just basically to keep us down, so that there is someone to be above, someone to be better than, to keep us here, to, again, to have someone beneath them or below them so that they can be better than someone else, so they can have someone to trick and to fool, and they can play their trickster-like games. Well, I say no more. I do not consent. I don't want to be a privy to this. I don't want to be a party to this. I prefer resurrection. And it's so clear to me now why Christ had to be killed, and it had to be done in front of as many witnesses as possible. Why he had the friends that he had who stood by him and were physically with him, and who watched over him even in death, and who hurried back to him after the 3 days so that no one else could get to him first. He had people who loved him enough to even watch over his body as it went through his transfiguration, his transformation. Because if that wouldn't have happened, he could have resurrected, and maybe, and I doubt this would have happened with him, but he could have come back not knowing who he was, if he would not have had Mary Magdalene there to call him Christ, Jesus, if he had not had someone there to call him by his old name. But we'll get to that in a minute. So this is a timeline. This is a life timeline. We are told that when we are quote-unquote born as a baby, that we are coming into this world fresh and new, and that is the first time that we are here. And we are told that that is us as a soul. The Bible does say that God knows us when we are knit in our mother's womb. So I'm assuming that that is when our soul is put into that body, okay? I'm not sure about that, okay? There is a soul there. We should not be killing babies. However, that soul is fresh and new and easily pushed out of that body, I think, if it's not watched over and cared for. But we are told that birth is our, that is us coming into the world anew. And then we have our life. We are a child, and we turn into an adolescent and a young person. We have our youth. We get a little bit older, maybe have some gray hairs. We have our own children, and then our body starts to break down, and we are told that we die and we are at our end. So we die, and we're told that that's it. So they put us in the ground, give us some service, this ritual, right? This whole process where we say goodbye, and that's the end. We have nice memories. We forget our relative. We put them in the ground and assume that they are turned into so much dust. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. I can't believe I'm saying that. You're going to say, Jen, you're crazy. This woman's finally lost her mind. Go listen to stories about certain people who we're told are evil and bad. And think about that. Who writes the history books? The victors, right? The ones who are on top. Can we trust those people? Can we trust the ones who tell us this is what happened, and these are the evil ones, and these are the bad ones, and these are the ones that you cannot trust, they are no good? Or should we maybe take a second look? Should we maybe not listen when people tell us, this is bad, this is evil, this is what happened? Oh, you can trust me. I'll go back to Ed Gein. Ed Gein was allegedly the man that they made the movies Texas Chainsaw Massacre about. And again, you're going to say, Jen, you've lost your marbles. That's a bad, bad man. He killed a lot of people. Did he? Though? We're told that. But did he actually do that? He spent a lot of time in cemeteries, you see. And there's a lot of graves kind of missing. Where'd all the graves from the 1800s go? Where are they all at? And why are there so many pictures of so many people looking confused and despondent around the 1800s? And why are there so many pictures? If it took an hour just to get the pictures, taken, if people had to sit so long for the picture to be taken with the gunpowder and the cloth and the curtain and all this stuff, why are there so many pictures? I used to sit at my grandma's when she watched me, and I would look at her pictures and how pretty they were in the old pictures, and she had a picture of her and my grandfather walking down the street dressed up in their Sunday best, and Grandma's trying not to look at the camera and smile, but she's kind of got a grin on her face, and they're caught mid-stride walking in front of a shop, and there's a lot of pictures like that from the 40s. That's not natural. That's not normal for people to just be walking down the street and other people taking pictures of them. What'd they do? Turn around and go back and ask for the picture and pay the person for the picture? And they just happen to be dressed up in their Sunday best? Again, that's not normal. That's a set. That's a setup. That's a setup to make things look a certain type of way for people like me, for our younger generation to see and say, oh, that's how things were. Do you see what I'm saying here? Everything we've been shown and taught and told is a setup. It's been set up that way so that our perception has been changed and altered reality, so that we see things and we learn things in a certain way, and we are stuck in our own perceptions, in our own paradigms, and we hit a glass ceiling and we can't perceive of another way that things might be. I've seen a lot in the last 5 years, and I am a woman who has a strong sense of intuition, and I've always had that. And men, I don't mean you any disrespect here, but I'm going to talk direct to the female for a moment. The divine feminine is struggling. The ash trees are dying, and ash trees are a direct expression or manifestation of the divine feminine. There was an old folk tale that God had a consort, and her name was Ashara. That's a direct link to the ash trees, and they're dying. There has to be balance in the universe. There's a plus and a minus. For every plus, there's a minus. Every minus, there's a plus. Natural law. This is why so many males are becoming so blatantly, flamboyantly female in their expression. And again, I'm not degrading that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's happening and it's being manifested in the physical in that way. Because the feminine has to be expressed somewhere, because so many of the female, the divine feminine, is being repressed and oppressed everywhere else. So it has to be expressed somewhere else, you see. The balance has to be restored elsewhere. Women have a strong sense of intuition, and I know when my children are lying to me. Every woman does. You know when they're telling the truth. You know when they're lying. You know when they've gotten in trouble. You know when they're hurt, even if they're 100 miles away. You just know these things. You know when they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing. And you know when you look in their eyes if something has changed about them. And I knew when I came back from Florida in 2018 that my family was completely different, that something had changed. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And this thing kept going through my head. Musical chairs of souls. And Sister Mona, a lovely lady from Chicago whose channel that I watch, but I lost the subscription when I deleted all my content. She said the same thing, and I did a video about it, and then she did a video about it pretty much the same day, so I knew that it was a real synchronicity and not something demonically manifested purposely to make me think, you know, it was real. She said the same thing. Musical chairs of the souls. Folks, reincarnation is not something that happens naturally at birth. They should not be showing you a life timeline with a dot at one end and a dot at another end and a dash in the middle. That's not how life works. I'm going to show you right now how life works. And again, we've been deceived. There will be people that tell you, oh, the spiral is bad. That's so bad. That's to show you what child harmers do. That's what they wear. That's their symbol. That's their sign, folks. That's evil. That's bad. You know what the spiral is? You know why it's on cave drawings? Because that's a real representation of time. Time is like a slinky. It's like a deck of cards. It's on top of each other. But it's not a line. It is a spiral with dots. Okay? Let me see if I can get a cave spiral here for you. And this is what we used to do on my channel. We would do research together. That way you could see I'm not just full of mud. I'm taking you through it the way that my mind was brought to it. I've had these, and people call them downloads of information. I don't care what you call it. I call it my connection to Source, my connection to God, God giving me messages, angelic messages, connection to a higher consciousness. I don't care what you call it. I call it truth, and I've been able to back everything up through my research. They're telling you that this is how time works. You know why all those other societies disappeared? Because they evolved spiritually. And I don't know that we ever leave this plane. God made the garden for Adam and Eve, and every time that they died, every time that they dashed themselves on the rocks because they felt bad about disobeying God, God brought them back to life. They were kicked out of the original garden, and they were brought outside of the garden through a path into Satan's realm. But it's still theirs. They still have a say over their own dominion, their own bodies. But they have to get along with they have to coexist with what else is out here, which is the Nephilim spirits that are called the evil spirits, and Satan, who goes to and fro the earth. And this is the timeline. This is what it looks like. And the dots are events in your life. And reincarnation is something that can be done at any time in a person's life. If you can scare somebody enough, and this is why they play the fear game, if they can scare you enough that you want to leave your body, or if they can depress you enough that you want to leave your own body, and if they can get you to leave your own body, your own vessel, then they can have it. Or somebody older who's at the end of their life can get into your younger vessel, your healthier vessel, your more attractive vessel. Whatever it is about your vessel that they want, they can then take. That is reincarnation, folks. Reincarnation is not something that happens, and this is why bloodlines are important, and this is why they're going crazy right now with the DNA tests everywhere. Because if someone has your bloodline, this whole process is a lot easier. I don't know that it works if it's for someone outside of your bloodline. And this is why we're going to start looking into Egyptology and Babylonianism. Not because I think that I want to join the enemy's camp, but because if you don't know how the enemy operates, then you're not going to be able to protect yourself, and you're not going to know what's happening around you, and you won't know the signs to look for like I didn't. Because these things almost happened to me. Because I didn't know what to look for, and I didn't know what signs to pay attention to. And I don't want that to happen to any of you. They will tell you that this is the symbol of child harmers. They want to scare you. They want you to be scared. It's a game to them. It's funny to them to have us all in fear, running around with chickens with our heads cut off, while they sit around and they keep the money in the same family line. Because it's the same spirits operating with that money. That's why they leave it to the next person, because they're going to take control of it anyways. That's why the Egyptians were buried with all of their treasures, because they knew that they would go take control of it anyways as that younger person in a different body but the same spirit. Folks, we have been lied to about everything. I don't even know that God would allow child harmers of that nature to walk the earth. It is said that every child has an angel who watches over them. Now, I know that certain things happen to children. I know because they've happened to me. I know that we are mentally and psychologically abused. I know that abortion happens. But as far as other certain despicable acts happening, I don't know if that's allowed. I don't know if it's physically possible. I know that the devil is a liar, and I know that the psychiatric industry is witchcraft. I know that hypnotism is witchcraft, and I know that under hypnotism, you can get anyone, especially a child, to believe that anything happened to them. And I know that if you get a person in enough fear, they can jump out of their body. And again, this is multifaceted. It's not mutually exclusive. That chroma story still holds water. So getting you into a state of fear holds multiple benefits for these beings. And yes, the black goo still holds substance, and we're going to get into that. I see other people are doing videos on it, but I still believe that I have things of value that are worth saying about that other people have not touched on yet. But I've spoke on that ad nauseum. But let me know if you want to do a live and you want to ask questions about this. I found out that I can go live. And if you would like, I can do that this afternoon or this week at some time. So please do comment below what you think about these things. And I know they're radical, and I know most people don't talk about these things. But there's a reason that they're not talked about. Because they want to keep us in the dark. It's time to stand up and stand firm. Because this ridiculousness has got to stop. And I'll say it loud and proud yet again. I do not consent. I did not agree to marry this person that I am with now, this spirit that has inhabited, my spouse looks the same, talks the same, sounds the same. It's not the same spirit. I can look in those eyes and know. I can look in my son's eyes and know that that's not the same spirit. I know this. As a mother, as someone with woman's intuition. Someone with very strong woman's intuition who has pretty much accurately prophesied what has been going on for the last 5 years. And most people who watch my channel know this. And I'm not saying I'm great or anything like that. I'm saying I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth frees us from the bonds of fear, from the bonds of repression and oppression and wickedness. And I want to see us freed. I'm tired of all this deception, and you should be too. Okay, this has gone on long enough. I love you guys. If you have questions you want to ask, I will answer them to the best of my ability. Please do comment below. If you want to share any of your stories with me, artistlady03@gmail.com. I love you guys. More very soon. Let me know if you want me to go live. Bye. Oh, gosh.